I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all, it is Wednesday. We have snow, cold temperatures. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. It's mid-April. April showers bring May flowers, but not snow, right? Almost freezing. I don't know what's going on. I didn't wear a jacket. It was miserable today. But we're here for another day, blessed and highly favored as usual. As you can see, Executive Director Jill Stanton is with us from the Bremerton Housing Authority. We also have Katie Sharp, Communications Director from Bremerton Housing Authority. We got a little extra time today, so I could be a little fancy with the intros. So how are you ladies doing today?
You're right. It's freezing here.
Yes, it's freezing, and it was cold on the boat. Let's just say that. We're not used to it, right? We don't have a heater on right now. We just have a little heater, and it's like, oh, it's still winter time, I guess.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Being on a sailboat in the middle of the Puget Sound? No.
Well, I can swim, but I have a healthy fear of what I can't see in the water. But I like being cold, so.
And it is dark water. It's not some of that crystal clear blue water from the tropics. So.
Yeah. So what do you do if there's a fire? You jump in the water?
Well, we're tied to the dock right now, and we also have fire extinguishers. But yeah, we hope that doesn't happen. That's an unhealthy fear, I guess, too. Because what do you do? Honestly, a sad point is a couple of fires in Bremerton recently, and homes. So, I guess it's happening, in homes and boats maybe. So hopefully we protect ourselves. And I'm
but
sad
I can
to see
run down
the
sidewalk if it's on land. You know what I mean?
There's a dock. That's a sidewalk.
How far out are you on the dock?
Oh, pretty far out actually. So the dock, I don't know, it probably from the parking lot, it takes about 5 minutes to walk to the boat. So when you think about grocery shopping, I don't think anymore about parking my car and just loading them the groceries. It's put them in the cart, roll the cart down the dock, put the groceries on the boat, and take the dock cart back and park the car, because we have to park the car further away than we have access. So yes, it's all a process. I've been living on the boat for 7 years, so it's just another form of housing, right? Affordable housing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's a word for it. I'm just thinking terrifying because there's so many horror movies that I watched growing up, on boats and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, we watched Jaws recently.
Oh, really? Fantastic. Well, Jill, how are you doing today? Oh, Jill might have lost audio.
Oh, it's back now. I don't know
okay.
what happened. Yes,
the internet's been a little spotty over the last few days also. So
okay. Yeah.
But how are you doing since we've seen you last week?
Yeah, doing good. So, just working away. Finally, with this commerce grant that we got for those 5 houses, it's an unbelievable amount of paperwork and the process that has to be done. I mean, it's totally worth it, but it's the same as going through a refinance of your house. I mean, it's the exact same process because the Commerce Department has to be on the deeds of all of these homes. So you're basically going through a refinance. So you can imagine all the paperwork that has to be done for that, and the signing and the closing and everything. But fingers crossed, by the end of April, we will be able to put $1.5 million back into our reserves. So that'll be great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. So I missed a little piece of that. Did you find the land for it already?
Now, this is for those 5 homes that we bought in Bay Vista.
Oh, okay. You know what? I didn't know that they were in the Bay Vista, actually.
Yeah, they're in that new development up there.
So in that new development, did it start off as an opportunity for first-time home buyers? And that's how they purchased it, and they had like first right after 5 years you can sell it. Is that how that program works?
There was, so No, I mean, sort of. So there was when the land first was sold to the contract or to the home builder, there was some homes that were part of a program for first time homeowners, and those are still scattered in that area. And I don't know what all the rules were, but it sounds much like that they had to own them for a certain amount of time. But that was not connected with the purchase of these homes.
Oh, gotcha.
And that
Okay.
was not a requirement for everybody who lived up there or anything. There's tons of, hundreds of new homes up there that are just anybody could have bought.
That is awesome. So, 5 homes is wonderful. I've never walked into one of the homes, but I used to do computer classes and bring bento boxes up there. So I've been in the little community area, but not in any of the units. But it is a really nice property. And then with the Winco next door, I mean, it's super convenient.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice area. And then we have a big presence there because we have the public housing. And then we also have the long-term care facility on that property.
Well, that is awesome. Well, what we are getting into today, Katie, you want to lead us on?
What are we getting into? So today so Marwan and I met and we were talking about our plans, right, for the podcast. But I didn't know if you want to introduce this or what did you want to do?
No, I just wanted to kind of go over what we're going to do today, and then maybe we can introduce it next week.
Yeah, well, I would love to talk with Matt and Kirsten. So Matt and Kirsten, if you remember from last week, the viewers were watching, they are out at Housing First Conference. I think that's what it is in Seattle, which is kind of amazing. I'm curious to hear what they bring back to us. We are opening, as we mentioned last week, we're opening our registration for our Rent Cafe on Monday.
All right.
That includes clicking a link and putting your email in and registering and getting familiar with Rent Cafe before our waitlist opens on May 16th.
Coming up quick.
What was that?
I said it's coming up quick.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not as quick as that sounds, but yes. And so I was busy training everybody to help answer questions. I think the biggest question that everybody will probably have is, managing an email account and having an active email, because we could help register you, but we really want everybody to be comfortable with email. So I know, Marwan, you always ask specifically what people can do to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really be comfortable. Pick an email address you like. If you don't already have one, go to the library and get comfortable maybe with Gmail or Outlook.com or Yahoo. Really just get comfortable accessing email, because we think it's a great way to communicate and we want to help everybody get to that point.
Absolutely. So pick out a email address that you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the library or use some of the other many resources out there to help you through the process.
Yeah, it's going to be so valuable moving forward. And any service, a lot of services, Bremerton Housing Authority is just moving to this, but a lot of services already require email. Just like Matt talks about, the KEPA form is an online form to apply. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then they'll be able to even tune in and watch a tutorial and play it as many times as they want to.
Yeah. So I'm going to get that link on our website, and we're begin sharing it next week. I'm going to talk we have a Kitsap Housing Coalition meeting on Wednesday. It's the monthly meeting where all the partners get together, and I'm going to do a presentation on Rent Cafe and registering and what's upcoming for the waitlist piece. So.
Well, that sounds really good. And yeah, to jump in there, Jill, did you want to mention anything about the new enrollment? What is it called? Rent Cafe?
It's called Rent Cafe. Yep.
And what is Rent Cafe? Like, what do I call it?
We're going to call it Rent Cafe because we all call it that. It's an online
No, I mean, like it's a database, a sign up.
It's an online portal for you to access. Like anybody who's registered can access
online portal
that we have in our system. So we currently have a system, but nobody in the public has access to it. This is the first kind of link to have access to update your address, for one, so that you can keep it updated. If you do get selected on the wait list, that you could actually get notified and hear about it.
Yeah, that's going to be really helpful for sure, Jill.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
All right, so Brent Cafe opens up next Monday, so stay tuned for
Yes.
that. We will definitely announce, and
Yes.
talk about it over the next month, even more than just on this show. I'll mention it quite a bit because it's that important. So
Mhm.
do make it a priority for sure. And then next Wednesday, we are going to get right into that, Katie, since the Housing Coalition meets next Wednesday.
Yeah.
We might push the show back, might start maybe 10 or 15 minutes late if it has to, because I'm going to attend.
Yay.
I used to attend and then got busy, and then, things happen. And it's like 3 years later, it's like I used to go to these things. But I'm going to be there Wednesday, and then we'll all come on to the show after and then kind of just talk about what we've learned and gained from that. So I think that'll be really good. And we're kind of changing the format of the show so people can have some expectations of what they're going to get when you tune in. Tiffany's asking, is it open to the public? And are you talking about the Wednesday community meeting that meets once a month for housing, Tiffany? While she's waiting to answer.
If she is, then yes. You just have to contact the website address. I'll chat it here and you can write it down.
Perfect.
And to find more information about the coalition. The coalition is great because it is a meeting of all of the homeless and housing providers of Kitsap County. We do it over Zoom right now, but there's some really good organizations, and we learned so much by attending, and everybody does some updates, but you learn a lot about the coordination of resources in Kitsap.
And there's quite a plethora of organizations that are doing the work. So I did not remember that there were so many. I figured there were like 20, and Katie was like, "Oh no, it's like 40." Like wow.
Yeah. I remember the first time I went, I was trying to write notes down, and I'm like, oh, there's like 40 people speaking. They used to do the format where every agency would do an introduction. Now you just call and raise your hand and you do an introduction if you have an announcement. But I was thankful to be part of that meeting where everybody was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm learning something.
Yeah, no, that is definitely good. So that'll be every third Wednesday. We'll come in and kind of share that information out. And as Katie was saying, it is open to the public. Just head on to kitsaphhc.org and you can sign up there. And there's other information there too. So probably a good idea to take a little stroll around. And then on the fourth Wednesday is, of course, our pancake breakfast, which is also open to the public. And that is at 4040 Wheaton Avenue or Wheaton Way in Bremerton, Suite 203 at 11 a.m. And I'll definitely put that in the chat here as we kind of talk. And so that's what you can expect the next 2 weeks. I don't think there's 5 Wednesdays in April. Is that not true?
I
April,
don't
I don't think so.
know.
It
I mean,
is
I'm
a
not even.
month.
Nope, just 4. And then, I look forward to speaking with Matt and Kirsten and talking about how we want to kind of plan out the other ones. It'll be helpful to hopefully, put out some marketing about the shows prior to the show. So I'm excited to kind of plan that out because we have such good conversations here, and it's a really good opportunity to share information and just discuss because we're not maybe presenting solutions, but there's so much that goes into these programs. So
Yeah, for sure. So that'll be. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But we still want to know what's been going on the last week with BHA. Any updates, concerns?
We don't have a lot of updates this week, but you may have seen that the article in the Kitsap Sun about the fair market rent study came out.
No, I didn't. Tell us
Yeah,
about it.
it was it Friday? It was Friday.
that's Friday. Yep.
Yeah. And it was a good article. It kind of described the process that we had to go through, the appeal and what the fair market rents mean and the various programs besides BHA. and Housing Kitsap that are affected. So we were really pleased with that article. And I think, we really, as the Bremerton Housing Authority, want to have more exposure to what we're doing so that people know the resources available. And we want to be able to explain our programs so that it's not a big secret what the Housing Authority sits over here and does, all day. So we're hoping that as exciting news and things come up, that we can have more exposure in Kitsap Sun. I think they're planning on doing a story about these 5 homes that we recently purchased. So anytime like that we have news, Katie is doing a really good job of either, of reaching out in person to the reporter or doing, what do you call that, Katie? A public,
Press
not,
release.
yeah, press release. I keep wanting to say public records request, but we don't want to do that.
And yeah, I love that you mentioned that because that came out on Friday. I was out on Friday, and it was supposed to come out on Saturday. So I was like, "Wow!" It came out on Friday, and it brought up a lot of questions. One thing I've learned is we call fair market rents. We're like, "Yay, an increase in fair market rents! That's an exciting news." But when people read that on the headline, they thought. Remember, some people don't read the articles.
Mhm.
They thought the rents were increasing.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting. So the more we put ourselves out there to talk about this, the more understanding that we can be to like, oh yeah, that's a term we use. But now looking at it, I'm like, I will never describe it like that anymore. I
Right.
didn't choose the headline, but the headline was kind of it got a lot of attention because
Yes.
yeah.
So the headline says Feds raise rates for fair market rent in Kitsap for those using subsidized housing vouchers. So yes, I can see how that would trigger panic.
And
It might have been on purpose.
yeah, we didn't get to see the title before the article. So we got to see the article, but not that somebody else decides the title. So that was a little unfortunate, but yeah, it was still a good article.
It was interesting. So, Kitsap Sun shares that on the Facebook page, and people just reading the headline, right? But it was such a great conversation. At first, it was like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? But there's some individuals who really understand it and was like, here, and explained it again. And it was so cool to see our partners in the community that the more we share, the more partners we have. And it's just exciting to see that kind of activity around something that we're doing because it is good news, but also we do rely on federal funds and we do rely on a lot of regulations. So to have that backing and that support from the community that way, it was really exciting. And yeah, that definitely was an attention grabbing headline.
Yes.
Very, very clickbaitish. But that's good too. I mean, it does make people start talking about it, and hopefully those that were triggered, might go in and actually read a little bit of it. But like you said, people have their battles on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. So.
It's good. It's good, and it got a lot of calls and people asking questions, from us, and it's just all great because we get to start this conversation and we get to share, and really get that support that
No, internet goes out. Craziness. Ladies, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Was it just me or was it more? Because it looks like everyone was gone for
I
a
don't
second.
know.
Then
So I was talking to myself.
yeah, I
What'd you
think you were
see,
the
Jill?
last one to hang on. You're
What'd
the
you
last one
see,
to hang
Jill?
on. Yeah, no, I couldn't see Jill. I could see you and Jill for a second. Then Jill fell off, and then it was just you.
Yeah.
I was just
I saw you both, but you were both frozen.
same here. So I don't know what it recorded. Who knows, right?
Well, just
Because we're in the same building.
What were you saying just a few seconds ago? Fill me in on what I missed, because the audience missed it too.
I was trying to fill time about technology.
Oh, about technology. Okay.
But it reminded me what we talked about yesterday, Merwin, because I thought the meeting we had was great. It was nice to catch up and just talk about BCAT and what's coming up for that, and that you mentioned it. You only have a 30-minute time slot, and like these types of technology issues will need an editing.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. That's one of my short goals is to improve my editing skills. So it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah, because you submit. That's not live on BCAT. You said that you have to submit that video.
Yep. So you want it to be cleaned up a little bit for sure. But we're good. We're stable right now. I don't even know what it looks like outside right now. Is it snowing?
No.
No, it's just cold.
It just looks very cold too.
It is really cold. I won't make this mistake tomorrow.
No.
For sure.
I was going to mention also that Kitsap Sun did another article about housing Kitsap's. Is it called self-help? They have a program, self-help program. And I didn't know about that. I didn't see it. I get the paper, so I don't know why I didn't see it. But their executive director just told me about it today. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
And that was Housing Kitsap. Oh, I see it here. I'll go ahead and put this article in the chat for anyone that wants to read that also.
Yeah.
And you're right. We have to share this information with people because we can make the assumption people saw it. It's like, no, I didn't see it. I don't get the Sun. It wasn't on Facebook. So it is good for it to kind of show up there. So that is the link where you can catch that article from Housing Kitsap. So do you have any kind of secret things that you're going toward, Jill, that are not so secret that you can tell us? You find all these unique solutions. It's like, well, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. And oh man, this happened and this has never been done before. So, you're doing all kinds of really cool things.
Well, nothing that I don't think we've talked about other than, I'm really careful and about long-term strategy and making sure that we are really planning for what's coming up in our future. And one of the things that has been an issue for the Housing Authority is that the properties that we own, not all of them we're financially stable, but not all of them support their own operations. And so it hasn't been a big problem for the Housing Authority because since we're what's classified as a small housing authority, there's some funding that's fungible. So we, for years, have been able to rely on some excess funding for capital and put it into operations. But we knew that eventually that pot of money was going to go away. And so we're looking at that pot of money going away. And one of the goals has always been, well, how can we get our properties all financially stable, get capital work done that needs to be done, and at the same time set up the Housing Authority to be in a very strong financial position moving forward. So that's been on my mind. And we had a consultant come in and do really close analysis of all of our properties and their financials and come up with some repositioning plans. And by repositioning, we wouldn't be getting rid of anything, but what we would maybe do is transition them from current programs that they're on into different programs and hopefully use the tax credit program to generate some investment in these properties that we don't have to pay back, so we can get work done. And it's a complicated thing, but I think that it's something that the housing authority will definitely be moving towards, and I'm hoping that that work will start this fall, but we'll be presenting it to our board in either June or July at our board retreat. So that's kind of the long-term plan on our hard assets. And then looking at, we've talked a lot about this already, but looking at our strategy for utilization of our vouchers, we haven't made a lot of progress in this past year. As you know, we have 1,800 and we only have 1,300 being utilized, and we really want all of them being utilized, but it's really difficult. I mean, in fact, impossible when you have only 40 to 50 units in Kitsap County that are on the market to rent, and you have 600 vouchers. It's like just issuing vouchers isn't going to solve your problem. And so, and at the same time, people who know that they are supposed to get these vouchers, they don't care if they're 1 or 600, they want that voucher. So, and I don't blame them. I would too. And so, it's this, at this point, we're really looking at what is going to be our strategy. We definitely want to keep our preference of homeless people getting vouchers, but we also, if we're not able to utilize all of our vouchers for things that are outside of our control, we, at the same time that we're trying to develop and get more affordable housing, there's also different clientele that possibly are also could need assistance, long-term assistance with rents. And so that's why I was talking with Kirsten and Matt last week about, well, what's these people that are severely rent burdened? Is there a way that we can say there's people severely rent burdened, but they're in homes. How can we maybe market the vouchers and to these people so that at least we can start utilizing more of our vouchers? And it's a balancing act, because we wouldn't want to use all of our vouchers in that way, but what is that number that we should be looking at? And then alongside of that is we do have some room to do some more project basing of vouchers. And so, I mean, that's a long process. We have to issue an RFP for proposals, and people bring us their projects, and we make some, apply the criteria and make some decisions on where these are going to go. But now that we just hired our assistant housing director, and he is, Jason, and we should have him on the show, Katie, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He will be really in charge of leading some of these initiatives, which is going to be great, because we've been kind of just, once Sarah left, just kind of stumbling along. We know we have these things to do. We have these big, ambitious goals with utilization. We really need somebody driving that. So I feel like the housing authority is getting more stable in our leadership, and that we're going to really be able to start strategically planning. Step 1, step 2, setting goals and getting to where we need to be.
Joe, when you were speaking about earlier, something that popped in my head. Is there any federal initiative to, put things or utilize like solar panels and sell back energy to the grid, or public housing? It seems like that would be a really good way to go, because oftentimes they're also seeking utility assistance, and so if you can reduce that burden, that would you know be a win for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because I was just talking to a consultant last week who specializes in what's called energy performance contracts. And it's a specific HUD program for public housing authorities that basically says, there's always complication to these things, but the gist is that if you spend money and reduce your utility costs, and solar panels is on that list, through a variety of measures, HUD will allow you to essentially keep part of those savings. So
Wow.
right now, HUD pays us for our utility costs for public housing. So whatever we spend, we get reimbursed, and it's kind of on this annual process. But if you go through an energy performance contract, they will keep paying you at the rate before you got those savings. So now you're getting to keep these savings, and the subsidy is at this equal rate that it was before. And there's a lot of strategy when you're looking at repositioning for when you want to do stuff like that. So, but yeah, those programs are out there, and they'll all be a part of what we look at.
Well, that's awesome. I like that. Because it's getting cheaper now, and they've got the technology, more efficient. It would be nice if new buildings might have that in mind, if that makes sense. Uh,
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about the 20% and developers here next month, but those are the kind of things that I think about. It's like, well, why wouldn't they just build that into the bid and say, hey, we're going to go solar now
Yeah.
and try that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I'll mention too, I wish Kirsten was here. So the FYI program, the Foster Youth to Independence program, I know we've mentioned it a few times here, but I'm working specifically with Greg from DCYF, and he's actually overseeing all the programs throughout the counties in Washington. So it's so interesting to hear about how they are coordinating the efforts to provide supportive services to foster youth. We are providing the voucher, but that's only a part of the puzzle. And so Kirsten with Greg has really got together this really unique coordination of resources in Kitsap to provide these services and these vouchers. So I don't know how many vouchers we have out shopping right now, but
I think we have like six or
yeah.
seven.
But the nice thing is we get they're non-competitive vouchers, so when we request them, we can get up to 25. So it's so interesting hearing it from Greg's point of view from DCYF, because he sees HUD making this initiative to give this money, but they don't pay for the supportive services. So how do you get supportive services without money attached to it? But you have to have the supportive services to get the housing assistance. But they only pay for the housing assistance. So like he sees that, and when he explains this, I'm like, he sees it like, how do they do that? Like, how do you make that work? We have to ask for more money from the state. We have to take action to make sure this program is successful, and we're not asking for free services pretty much from our current independent living provider like Olive Crest, who serves foster youth. But it's so interesting to talk to him because it's exactly what we're facing. We're facing this with the Housing Choice Voucher Program. It's just not unique to us. But to hear from somebody who doesn't normally work in this world, where yes, we have money available, but the only way to get the money is to have the vouchers in units to shop to actually use, and then we get them. But we don't have money to provide supportive services that would actually support long-term self-sufficiency. So we have to place all these services in unique ways to make sure our housing choice voucher holders will be successful. But the FYI program is kind of a small, tiny piece of that, but it's interesting to see other partners having to deal with that same thing that housing authorities have dealt with for so long.
That's why it's so important to have, many voices in the room at different levels so you don't miss that perspective.
It's a good point, and that reminded me of something. So yeah, our housing choice voucher program, and we administer, as you know, for Housing Kitsap as well. But that we get paid essentially two buckets of money. One is for the housing assistance payments that we pay out. The other one is to administer the program. And for many, many years, they HUD will give you the rate that you're going to get paid, but then they prorate it. So like they say, here's what it should cost at 100%, and everybody's going to get 80% or whatever it's going to be. And so housing choice voucher teams really suffer, and they try to run on a shoestring. Here we've been running at a loss for many years. Luckily, we have other programs that are making more money that we can supplement, but it's a real problem, and you have to run very efficiently to be to be able to be sustainable. So it's something that we've really been looking at. You have to have good technology, all of these things. Well, but then there's also that advocacy side of us pushing HUD and other people pushing HUD to say, hey, if these vouchers are too expensive to administer, at some point, housing authorities just can't afford to do it. And so these numbers for administrative fee have to go up because our wages go up every year and all of this. So the good news on that aspect is that last week they came out with our administrative fees for this year, and they are going up they're going up by 9%, which is pretty significant. But if you throw in the proration is also going up. So if you add in the proration going up plus the percent of the actual fee going up, it's more like a 17% raise. And so for the housing authority, yeah, it's going to be close to a couple $100,000, which is a great, I mean, that will go a long ways to getting us out of the hole.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, you're always doing all these unique things and keeping your finger on the pulse of what is being done and what can be done and what you can try to advocate for in the future. So, definitely appreciate you here in this county.
No, I'm having fun. I just saw a friend for lunch, and she's like, "So how are you doing over here in Kitsap County?" And I said, "I'm doing great."
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, so all really good things. We'll probably call it here just because I don't want to lose any more of the internet. It's still showing a little bit unstable, so I don't want to lose too much. I will edit this and I'll put it up. Now that's good practice for me, Katie. I'm
Good
giving
practice.
myself a week to do it. We shall
Yeah.
see. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, it was fun today, and like we talked about, yeah, moving forward, it'll be exciting to see how we can use these conduit podcasts to really get information out about housing and have people start subscribing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll roll out some advertisement and some marketing so everyone knows and has some reminders and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for sure. Good things are coming. This is what collaboration looks like and gets me up every day pretty easily. No
Yeah.
effort
Thank
at
you,
all.
Marwan.
No,
Yeah. Thank you, Marwan. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. So we will be back next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Again, that is going to be the post from the Housing Coalition meeting. So you're going to get a kind of a data dump this first time until we'll try to just give you the highlights of the highlights on that. And then, of course, the following Wednesday will be the pancake breakfast, and we'll continue to advertise that. So stay tuned. But for Jill and Katie, I am Marwan Cameron. This is The Conduit, and we will see you next time.